So is there a stealth fighter war brewing, or are we reading too much into it? Let's hear from the experts. Air Marshal Anil Khosla is former Vice Chief of the Air Staff. Abhijit Iyer Mitra is a well-known defense and aerospace analyst and commentator, as senior fellow with IPCS. Air Marshal Anil Chopra is a veteran fighter pilot and former Director General of the Centre for Air Power Studies. Welcome, gentlemen. Air Marshal Chopra, I'll start with you. Aero India is, after all, a show. There's a lot of narrative. There's a lot of perception. Nobody is saying that, the presence of the Su-57 and the F-35 suggests that there's something concrete on the table. But we all know that these are subtle symbols and subtle messages from these two great powers. And we also know that both the Russians and the Americans have been making noises in this direction. How do you see it, sir?
Shiv, firstly, I must say that this is going to be the first air show anywhere in the world where both the F-35 and Su-57 are going to be there. Su-57 Fallon has been only to China last year in November. So therefore, it's going to be a first time that they are going to be standing together, flying one after the other. Both the countries are moving. Do we require a fifth generation aircraft? Yes. Do we require it very quickly? Yes. China already has 300. They will have 1,500 by 2035. By when? The AMCA, as of now, is expected to be delivered to Indian Air Force. So the gap is increasing. We know that, Pakistan is talking both to Turkey for the Khan, as well as they are talking for the J-35 with the Chinese. Many statements have come out. They're talking of 29 timelines. So therefore, surely what is the good between the two aircraft? Yes, FGFA, we have had, in the Su-57, we have had the FGFA experience. We have a good idea of what the aircraft is. It's certainly going to be cheaper. They are willing to sell it, but only 42 have been made. The production rate is still very low. The F-35s, more than 1,000 are flying, 135 aircraft being produced every year. And I have a feeling, as you rightly brought out, the Americans in the back room are talking. They are going to make such an offer. Maybe they'll put some conditions on us for, distancing ourselves from Russia. So there is a lot of play that is going to take place, and we are excitedly waiting to be at the Aero India and talk to both the sides and see what's going to happen. Yes.
It's a really, really big show. Air Marshal Khosla, how do you see this? This is like mid-air turbulence as far as stealth fighters is concerned. Suddenly the narrative is full of American and Russian fighters both coming to India at a time where there is uncertainty over what India's next step in this regard is going to be. How do you see it, sir?
Yeah, thank you, Shiv. You're very right. And I think you touched upon every aspect of this event which is happening and the way it is unfolding. And both the US and Russia are offering us a sugar-coated pill. And Trump, being a businessman, there's a change in offering a sort of hint to offer F-35, whereas they've been offering older aircraft earlier. The improved F-16 and the F-18s and F-15s. So, a wild thought comes to my mind. Is this issues or aspects related to delivery of GE engines related somehow to this push by US? A wild thought. Russia, on the other hand, is sugarcoating by saying that we have reduced the cost, we are going to integrate hypersonics with it, and, we're going to improve the features, stealth features and other, and also offering easy payments. So that's how they are sugarcoating the whole thing. And we had issues with both. Factors which came into earlier play was the cost, technology transfer, and aspects like that. And major decision point was the effect on our indigenous AMCA program, as you pointed out. So I think, in my opinion, which has changed with now China flying the 6th generation aircraft, I feel that MRFA should include procurement of 5th generation aircraft, but this is where the tightrope walk starts, and two decisions needs to be taken, very hard decisions.
Yeah, it's good. And, I don't envy the people who need to take these decisions. There's a committee led by the Defense Secretary who now needs to, decide on what the next steps is going to be. Abhijit, do you think, the presence of both these fighters is just a nice masala media story at Aero India? Or do you think there's really something afoot that the Indian government will have to navigate?
Look, Shiv, I'm betting on this being a masala story, like a bit like a gupshup peanuts kind of thing, right? And I'll tell you why. Remember, the Sukhoi 57 is the same program we had joined,
Yeah.
and we cited the atrocious quality of that aircraft and got out of it. If you look at the Tejas's finish, it is far superior to the kind of metallurgy and composite bonding that we've seen even on the Su-57, which is allegedly a fifth generation aircraft. There are so many things about it: lacking of stealth, very little platform change from this Su-30, the exposed engines and things like that, which don't even give it that basic rudimentary stealth which you expect from a fifth generation aircraft. The second competitor out here is the F-35. Now, the F-35 will actually not be such a great increase in our capabilities unless you integrate it with everything. The F-35 depends so much on systems integration with absolutely everything else.
Correct.
It is not the IAF MCC, the integrated combat system that we're making. Not that kind of integration. It is a far, far deeper integration with other air assets and things. Otherwise, if you look at it in the terms of the numbers we're up against, 2 air defense missiles alone, maybe it can be upgraded to 4, is not enough in the kind of quantity battle you're looking at with China.
Yeah.
So you may buy it, but you'll never be able to use it to its full potential. The second issue, of course, is if you want to use it to your full potential, you have to make everything else NATO compatible. So the hidden costs are so intense out there, it is unbelievable. The third option out here, of course, is to put like the strategy. Why is ISRO a success? Why are our ballistic and offensive missile programs a success? And why are the other programs not a success? It's because these missiles come directly under the Prime Minister's office. There is a certain harsh accountability that goes into all of these programs.
Very true, yeah.
I think the AMCA really needs to be transferred to the PMO with some serious accountability. I don't know if you read the piece that Karan Kamble has written today in Swarajya on the absolute disaster that is the other verticals of DRDO. But, these things need to be taken very seriously. We can't, neither of these planes really suits us.
Yeah.
If we buy it, it will be a whole load of money on an extremely imperfect, extremely expensive, imperfect option. We really need that AMCA. We need the whip to be cracked.
Absolutely. Air Marshal Chopra, Abhijit, when he says that something like the AMCA, which is not just any old aircraft program, it is literally a strategic air power program. It needs to be brought under the Prime Minister's office. That's not an exaggeration. That may be simply the order of the day, because the Indian Air Force is in a dilemma right now. There is a clear gap. There is a capability gap as far as China is concerned. It's not going to be long before Pakistan gets the same. There is a distinct lack of clarity, as far as the timelines on the AMCA are concerned. If an imported aircraft comes in, that will only be detrimental to what we can do with the AMCA. Therefore, would you agree that all energies need to be poured into the AMCA program as quickly as possible?
Shiv, I must have written at least 10 articles
Yes,
in the last 1 year in which I have advocated the same, that it must be a task force approach, it must come under the PMO, it must be getting quick decisions, it must get quick funds.
Yeah.
Undoubtedly, Shiv, that if India has to sit in the global high table of defense production,
yes,
we have to make and succeed the AMCA at any cost. Even if we choose an interim solution for whatever reasons, because of capability gaps, whether defense Secretary's committee will recommend that how do you bridge the gap, whether you buy 2 squadrons of this or that aircraft, AMCA has to be accelerated. We have stated last year in March 2024, 15,000 crores have been given to the AMCA project. It's small money, $2 billion, but much more needs to be done. Decision making, maybe special purpose vehicle has to be brought in. Maybe the corporate sector, whosoever you want to select as a strategic partner, has to come in quickly so that technologies can move in. Maybe a CEO may be chosen centrally who will drive, like we did for Aadhaar card. We chose Nandan Nilekani, or somebody equivalent to that may be chosen to drive AMCA. There is no doubt about it. But yes, we need AMCA very quickly, and therefore we must accelerate. And if we have to choose interim option, as Abhijit and Marshal Khosla have said, and I believe the same, that we are stuck in between the two ends of a terrible vice. That we are being pressed from either side. Both aircraft have limitations. Both give capability to others to arm twist us. Both need, will involve transfer of technologies which may not come easily. So AMCA has undoubtedly to succeed, but it has to be hastened very, very quickly. We must have the first flight by 2028. Or so.
Absolutely.
We are going to be in trouble, yes.
You know, Marshal Khosla, the word stopgap is something we hear very often in the context of especially the Indian Air Force. You know, let's get a couple of squadrons of something as a stopgap before something that we are actually building by ourselves comes in. In the case of fifth generation fighters, isn't that a much more difficult proposition? Because like Abhijit rightly pointed out, the F-35 is a system of systems. It needs to integrate widely. You know, you can't simply say, okay, fine, I will buy 30, 40 F-35s and then I'll wait for the AMCA. I mean, is that even a realistic option?
Yeah, Shiv, as I was saying earlier, and I fully agree with my co-panelists, the AMCA program, you have to really energize and make it a success. That is a given. I mean, there's no two ways about it. But in my opinion, we have reached a stage where we need external help and holding hand to make it happen. In critical technologies, we are not moving forward. So time has come where, the challenge is that, and the second factor is that minimum deterrence value is going down. So keeping these two things in mind, I think we should go in for a fifth generation aircraft. The challenge is to make the deal in such a way that it doesn't jeopardize the AMCA program, but in sort of assists it and accelerates the process by increasing, increasing the learning curve and making it happen rather than jeopardizing it. That's what my personal opinion is.
Abhijit, in the context of these offers from both Russia and the United States, below the threshold of outright importing these aircraft, which I also personally think is a terrible idea, are there any other options with India? Isn't there some leverage possible where we get technology from one of these countries or from some of the other countries that are doing this? We do know that France, the UK and others are also doing stealth technology. Why can't India get some of these technologies, infuse them into the AMCA to make sure that it remains on track? Is that also a possibility, or you think that also should not happen?
So, this is something we have been advocating for a long time. It's what the Swedes do.
Yeah.
It's called technology harvesting. You don't, develop everything yourself. You look at who's developing what really good, and you start integrating it. It cuts a lot of the costs associated with development. You really don't have to reinvent the wheel. And once you have enough if you're willing to purchase large amounts, the economies of scale automatically set in. And you can negotiate technology transfers. The problem, of course, here is there is a duopoly. There are only 3 fifth-generation fighter jets realistically in the market. The Turkish one and the Korean one aren't really fifth-gen completely in that sense.
Yeah.
So you either buy American or you buy Russian, and obviously the Chinese option isn't on the table anymore. Realistically.
Of course.
So they also know that they're in duopoly. The Americans know the Russian product is an inferior one. The Americans know they can price gouge us. So, stopgap is really not on the table.
Yeah.
You have to resort to aggressive technology harvesting right now. I don't know if we have the expertise or the capability to do it unless, you start marshalling together resources very, very quickly to start doing that.
I'm just wondering, whether this kind of technology harvesting is going to be possible with the United States, especially with an aggressive president like Trump, in the White House. He's already sort of set the tone for the relationship by talking about increased Indian, weapons procurements from the US in his first conversation with Modi. Before I come back to Marshal Anil Chopra, I just wanted to list out, we have a graphic on our screen of all the, fifth-generation fighters that are actually out there, either operational or in development. The F-22 Raptor is acknowledged as the first fifth-generation fighter that became operational. It's an American fighter. Then there is the F-35, which we are currently talking about. And then there is the Su-57, which is the Russian fighter, which will be debuting at Aero India. The J-20 Mighty Dragon is a Chinese fifth-generation fighter. So these are the 4 fifth-generation fighters that are operational. Under development, there is the Su-75 Checkmate, which is, some reports suggest, is also on offer to India. There's the Shenyang FC-31, which would be China's second fifth-generation platform. AMCA, which is the Indian platform, is also under development. at this point of time. And there are a few others, the TAI Khan, which our guests just mentioned, and the KF-21 are two other fifth-generation platforms that are said to be under development. Air Marshal Chopra, coming back to you, with a tough customer, a kind of deal-obsessed president like Trump in the White House, and he's unpredictable. He's already signaled that tariffs are going to be a big, leverage point as far as negotiations are concerned. I'm sure Indian planners must be, preparing for any kind of eventuality. Ultimately, defense deals may be currency as far as Trump is concerned, and he could very well decide that F-35 is going to be his pet project.
Yeah, Shiv, let's look at yet another option over and above the options that we have discussed. Look at the French. They have decided, the GCAP, the FCAS, these programs are 2040. That's the timeline they're even behind AMCA as of now. So we have been having this requirement of 114 fighters. But if we were to choose, let's say, the French Rafale, we were to buy the F4 and subsequently the upgraded F5, which is going to come in 2027. We'll get the numbers very, very quickly. The aeroplanes there, yes, of course, there is a backlog of their Rafale orders are huge. Their production lines are not being able to catch up. This is one option, and we parallelly, accelerate AMCA.
Yeah.
Because the fifth generation aircraft, a lot of points have been brought out by all the panelists, including you, that it's a complex choice between either side that we go. There is no guarantee that they're going to give technologies along with support AMCA. Everybody's holding their cards next to their chest. Nobody shares high-end technologies. India is the only big customer for them. So therefore, one approach could be, while we accelerate AMCA, as Abhijit said, and we all have been saying, get it under the PMO, we concentrate on building up our fighter strength very, very quickly and go to F4 and F5 class of fighter aircraft.
I really hope it can happen, because time is not a luxury at this point of time, especially when capability is on the table. But it's going to be an interesting next few weeks and months to see how things actually go, what our planners decide, what the Defense Secretary's Committee decides as far as next steps are concerned. We'll have a lot to report on that, and we'll have all of you back on another episode of Battle Cry. Abhijit, Air Marshal Khosla, Air Marshal Chopra, thank you so much for being with me here. Well, that's it in this episode. Thanks so much for watching.